So let me put just a little meat on the chicken bones there. It was said last night at the dinner that business is missing in action in Washington. I respectfully disagree with that. I think business has been crystal clear, to quote the Colonel and a few good men, about what needs to be done. And in that regard, there are about 6 million businesses in the United States incorporated. There are about 27 million economic partnerships or what have you. As best I can tell, of that 6 million, about 300,000, about 5% are what you might call gazelles. They're the big companies or the entrepreneurial companies, but they're the companies that are performing the role of the locomotive on the train. And the facts of the matter are that all of the wealth that the United States has enjoyed over these many years is produced by the interaction of innovation, invention, engineering, entrepreneurship, private investment, cheap energy, and open and growing markets. And if you really look at what we've done over the last 30 years or so in the United States, we've attacked almost every one of those things. Now, government can be helpful, sometimes importantly so, in providing educational opportunities, in putting in place infrastructure, in providing reasonable regulations and the rule of law, and finally, the government has made important contributions in terms of basic research and development, which can't be done at the enterprise level, like DARPA's work on advanced communication systems, which led to the Internet, post-World War II efforts by NASA and the military to be able to launch satellites or swept-wing airplanes or gas turbine engines that allow us to get on a plane and be any place on the planet within 24 hours and those types of things. But it's basically entrepreneurship, innovation, and private investment that has made us wealthy. And the world seems to me to be divided into those people who are either supply-siders or demand-side people. And I have to say that I think one of our problems in Washington today is that there are so many people that are focused on the demand side that they miss the fact that the vast majority of our wealth has been created by innovations and inventions that nobody had any idea there was a demand for them until, in fact, they were brought onto the scene. If you have any doubt about that, those of you who drove here, there may be one of you, I don't know, you're crazy if you do, I wouldn't drive in New York. But if you'll look into your pocket, you'll probably put out a car key, and in that car key is a little device that can today be pointed at your car and open the doors, turn on the lights, and in some cases turn the heaters on or open up the trunk. I can assure you that that innovation, which came from the synthesis of a number of disciplines, the miniaturization of batteries, the extreme durability of the plastics that encase it, the improved RFID capability, the miniaturization of electric motors, have created a product which now is employing some large group of people, increasing our wealth and productivity and safety beyond the point which anybody would have ever imagined. And in fact, from intermittent windshield washers to the Pfizer Lipitor that keeps me alive every day, to the marvelous 777 airplanes and the fly-by-wire equipment and the broad bandwidth, it's all been the product of some inventor, engineer, or somebody that's trying to innovate. And our tax code, with 35% at the corporate rate, encourages our economy to be more financially oriented and focused on speculation than is healthy. Now let me put some numbers there that will prove my point. In 1982, the profits of the financial services sector in the United States represented about 15% of total corporate profits. By 2007, the last full year before the meltdown, they had exceeded 35%. The wages paid to financial services workers over that same 25-year period increased from the industrial sector level by about 80%. Things were creatively put together, like derivatives and CDOs and putting mortgages together and slicing them and dicing them and having them worth 100 when you got them in the shop and spread them around the world are worth 103. And I commend to your attention a wonderful article that is in the most recent New Yorker magazine, which talks about the relatively low value added that is brought into the population as a whole by the financial services sector. And with a 35% corporate tax rate, the most pernicious thing about it is that it encourages and subsidizes leverage and the accumulation of debt as opposed to investment in the industrial sector. It makes investments that would otherwise not be possible on the financial side of the house possible with relatively little benefit on the productive side. So in my opinion, and basically what the business sector has been screaming about in Washington for a long time, is that we must reduce the corporate tax rate to the worldwide competitive average of about 25%. We should go to a territorial tax system which allows all of the money that's offshore to be brought back in the United States and invested into the United States economy, which must become the most attractive place for capital investment in the world. And I would say that two other aspects of that would be the expensing of capital equipment and software when it's put into service, which reduces the risk of making those investments. And Peter mentioned that software and equipment was up dramatically, and it is. But as of September, business investment from 2007 levels is still 15% lower than was the case before. If you take structures out, it was about 8%. Now, I wish I had this on an audio-visual slide. I don't, but I wrote an op-ed for the Wall Street Journal some months ago. In fact, I think I sent this to Peter, but I think you can get the thing. That is a chart which shows the correlation between private investment and job creation. I would say that is a correlation. Absent investment, there is no possibility to increase our growth rates to 3.5%, 4.5%, or to reduce the unemployment levels from the rate that they are in. Remember, it takes 2.5% just to absorb the growth in our population. I'd also say that it would be a very wise thing to allow capital gains to be taxed at a relatively low rate for everyone, including nonprofits, and have capital gains zeroed out after the investment has been held, say, 4 years, which prejudices, again, away from short-term speculation, commodities, and so forth, and incents investment into the industrial sector. And finally, I would think that the most important thing underpinning all of this is we've got to get back to promoting education in the scientific and engineering disciplines, the community colleges that produce the kind of blue-collar jobs that are high-paying and secure. And let me point out that during the height of the economic recession that we've just gone through, there were $3.5 million high-paying blue-collar machinist jobs that went unfilled in this country simply because we don't have the people to do them. So we have a misallocation of educational activities and incentives away from the industrial economy and into other parts of the economy that don't provide the type of blue-collar, high-wage employment we're looking for.